being a narc, that's the worst thing you could be in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, like we're trying to be out here and survive, we're eating dirty food off of other people's plates. We're doing stuff. We're putting bread rolls in our pockets for later. We're taking a roll of toilet paper home. Like, don't narc us out,
Yeah.
Working overtime, serve beer at a Bushwick dive, just trying to stay alive, but it's so damn hard. But I will not worry, though life ain't going as I planned. I hurt and be hard, but it's so much harder. Well, I keep doing the best I can, best I can.
Welcome in and welcome back to Under the Apron, the podcast for micromanagers. We don't have a lot to do. We are drunk. We're pissed off that we didn't become actors, and we're going to take it out on you. So, Mike, if you don't tuck your shirt into your underwear and shave your earlobes, you're off the podcast, buddy. I don't want to tell you again. All right.
Wait, what are the chances that my t-shirt is tucked into my underwear right? I swear, dude.
Well, good. Then you're following protocol. You're finally listening to my managerial skills.
I just quickly want to make a fun announcement.
Yeah.
A friend of the podcast, a past guest on the podcast, Mr. Keith Kelly. He and his, remember Keith?
Yeah, of course.
So listeners out there, you might remember him. He partied with Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, he partied with Doc Brown. Keith and his wife just had a baby yesterday. Yeah. I haven't gotten confirmation. It's been hard, as I'm sure it goes with even. Look, he still hasn't told me. I still don't have confirmation on the name. So I'm just gonna say, welcome into this world, blank Kelly.
Doc.
Yeah,
Kelly.
little Doc Brown, obviously. His name might be Luca. I'm not sure. So maybe Lou. Welcome to the world, Lou. Congratulations, Keith and Christina. Love you guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I got a new little nephew.
Beautiful. Congrats, Keith.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. We are getting ready for an art show on Friday, so that'll be fun. Mike will hopefully be able to show a piece depending on if we have. I don't know about all the logistics, but that's exciting. I just finished all the shit that I was making for it, so looking forward to that. Natasha may have stolen a bike. We're not sure about that. She got really drunk one night, and the next morning there was just a bike that was unlocked in our little area. And we have downstairs neighbors that are Japanese and they don't speak English. And so we thought maybe it was theirs. So we asked the guy and we go, "Is this your bike?" And he goes, yeah. And then we go, "Okay, well, do you want us to put it?" And he goes, yeah. So then we realize he doesn't know what we're saying to him. He's just saying, yeah, because so now it could be his bike. It could be a stolen bike. So if you got your bike stolen in Williamsburg and it's brown, we might have it. We have a very special guest today. We have a very old friend of mine who already did the podcast, but it was part of what was stolen on the laptop in the TSA. So some dickhead somewhere has that episode. I hope you're enjoying it, you absolute piece of shit. But great excuse to have one of my lovely oldest friends back on the pod. We met through a mutual friend of ours named Jimmy, who I worked with for a long time. Love Jimmy, doesn't answer his text, but great guy. And Jimmy and our guest Emily and I and Emily's sister Erin lived in a basement in Astoria for a couple of months, got drunk, played acoustic guitar, had little pet turtles. It was just a fun time. Four Loko, rollerblades, wild days in our 20s. And she has since moved away from New York and away from the service industry, but she is amazing and we're glad to have her back. And I apologize for having to make you do this again, Emily, but thank you for doing it again.
It's okay. I orchestrated that robbery so that I could come back. So It's all part of my grand plan to have you guys just do this episode with me on a constant loop in perpetuity. Yeah.
No, it worked out. She definitely would have been canceled after some of the things she said on that last that original.
No, but truly, so happy to have Emily back, and or for the listeners on for the first time. Love this person. Spent a lot of like real quality time when we were young and all working in the industry together. So happy to have you. That being said, let's jump right into Emily's story. So Emily, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, guys. And just wanted to say I love being here and chatting about all the stuff. It's a lot of fond memories, like thinking back to my bartending and serving days, and just New York in general. Living out there was so fun. And yeah, so it's great to be here. And I also wanted to mention that the basement apartment that we lived in for a while was lovingly nicknamed the Vortex by Laurent.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Laurent did name it that because when you went in there, it had no sense of space or time. It just kind of existed, and it existed in a weird way, just like all of us back then. So
that's right.
Anyways, well, my stories.
I like looked down and I could like see the inside of my leg, basically. I will never suck your dick.
I wound up watching Back to the Future, getting fucked up with Doc Brown.
As he like sits her on the stool, and no joke, she shit herself.
Oh no!
Dude, this story's crazy, guys.
It's story time.
So now that we are getting towards the end of the year, I thought I would do a holiday party story. So I have a pretty good holiday party story from when I bartended and managed a gastropub in California, and did so with Laurent, yours and my dear friend Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together. So we were working at this gastropub, and they decided to do like it wasn't an official holiday party. They were like, let's have a gift exchange. Let's bring our gifts to the restaurant after it closes, like exchange the gifts. And then the restaurant was on like a walk street that then went down to like a bunch of bars and restaurants. So they're like, let's like do the gift exchange and then like all head out and go out. And we danced on the tables. We danced on bars. We hopped from one to another. We poured ourselves drinks. We just really let loose. And this was not a company sanctioned event. This was us just being total fuckheads and just kind of just getting into like a real amped up like party spirit. Well, the next day, Jimmy, our friend Laurent, got a phone call from one of the owners saying, did something happen last night at the restaurant? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, well, I've just been sitting and watching 2 hours of camera footage of people stripping on the bar and drinking and stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, well, whoops, et cetera, et cetera. Long story short, we didn't get in trouble. Why? Because unions work. When you stand together and you all fuck up, they can't do anything to you. So they basically, they sat Jimmy down because he happened to be the manager who was on duty that night. And they love him. And they were basically like, we came in to do some inventory in the morning, and we noticed there was a cake that was in the trash. That was like the only thing. And they were like, that's so weird. Why is there a cake here? And so that prompted them to check the cameras. And then they sat for a couple hours, the owners, and watched us all put dildos in our pants and swing them around and, do body shots and take our shirts off on the bar and all this stuff. And they were like, it looks like you guys threw yourself your own holiday party, and we hope you had fun. At the end of the day, you can't fire everyone. So if everyone gets crazy, then you get off scot-free, And that's kind of like one of the only like work holiday parties that I really remember, and it's the one that we kind of just impromptu did on our own, So that's my story.
I love it. Those are great owners, because I feel like you got to let your people do their thing.
If you know Jimmy, shout out to Jimmy, again, answer your text, but just the most lovable dude on the planet. You can't be mad at Jimmy. You could find out that Jimmy like broke into your home and like peed all over your shoes, and you'd be like, "Yeah, he's so he meant well." Like he's just the sweetest little Jimmy ever. So
well, that was actually the probably one of the saving graces of that situation was if it had been any other manager, they probably would have gotten fired. But the owners loved Jimmy, just like you were saying, Laurent, they adored him, and they were like, "Oh, buddy, like, like, look at you." And he's like, "I'm sorry." And they're like, "Okay, honey, you're fine. You want a raise, And they just loved him. And we were like, thank God it was Jimmy,
that's another piece of advice for everybody. If you can't get all of your staff to be there at the same time, at least have Jimmy there. Pay for a flight. He takes about, I think it's like 200 hours to hire Jimmy. To
200 an hour.
And then you're good.
To be beloved. And to cover for you. Yeah.
200 an hour, but he's not going to respond to your texts.
It's really hard to get to him. Well, he's busy, Laurent. He's fielding all these texts,
That's true. I mean, he is a busy boy these days. Very successful. Also, I just wanted to say, we were talking about the Vortex, and I didn't really paint the picture. Like all four of us, myself, Emily, Jimmy, and Erin, it was a studio apartment. So it was 4 people in a basement, like no walls. We put up some like impromptu fake walls. I slept on an inflatable mattress that would deflate every time that I slept on it. So by the time I woke up, I was being like hugged by like a plastic mattress. It was an interesting time, but we loved each other so much that it didn't matter.
It was a single mattress too, right? So it wasn't even like you're on like a full or a queen. You were on no. Literally like a camping mattress that would deflate. And sometimes you'd get the couch. Sometimes you'd get the couch, Laurent, if you were Laurent,
you were probably hanging off that thing to begin with. When it was fully deflated.
I was, dude. But honestly, like I look back at it's funny, for the sake of this podcast, but I think it's worth saying. I believe all 4 of us were working in the service industry at the time. I can't remember what Erin was doing.
She was hosting. Yeah.
Also, shout out to Erin Peet-Lukes. If you want to go see if you're into music and want to check out a new artist, she's a wonderful musician who actually helped me a lot by showing me some of the open mics around New York City when I was just getting started with doing some spoken word stuff. But yeah, like it's such a romantic thing to look back at now. And it's just 4 young kids trying to make it in the big city, all working in bars and restaurants, literally like sleeping on top of each other, but making it work and having fun the whole time. It was a really special time that I look back.
I don't really remember. I don't remember ever using the kitchen. I don't remember cooking. I don't remember cleaning. I don't remember any of that. I just remember like piles of cash. We'd just pull cash out of our You know what I'm saying? Like you just pull wads of cash out of your pocket and like throw it on top of something. Yeah. Laurent, one time you paid because everyone was chipping in, right? Because it was my apartment, and then people would like give me a little money to, pay for stuff. And Laurent one time paid me in restaurant checks, which are like $10 each, So he just like gave me a bunch of signed over checks that were like $12, $40, $20.
Laurent, really quick, just before we fully leave the story, because this is worth it. Trust me. Okay, just to call back up the what Emily was saying about the tapes being what kind of gave them away. That 2+ hours of you guys dancing naked on the bar and whatnot. So like, what do you see that's on these tapes that's so bad? Like, show us. So there's a friend of mine, Dom. He's about 6'5". He's a giant, amazing, just beautiful person. He's an amazing cook, great bartender. They pull up the clip and it's him picking up our friend Nick and essentially putting him in stand-up 69 position. So Nick's junk is here, and he's got him upside down for like 5 minutes, and he's just jumping around the bar, and apparently Nick's screaming the whole time, like, let go of me, let go of me, and he just won't. And apparently the joke was he was trying to shake a bag of Coke out of his pockets that Nick wouldn't give him. And I guess apparently he eventually got it. But yeah, that was it. Just another clip of, another someone being like, what could have been so bad? And then that, like, here's the tape.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah. That reminds me of a bar that I worked at that I was friends with the owner, and he told me that the manager hit him up and was like, hey, I was looking at the camera from last night, and after Laurent closed, he literally was just looking in the mirror and flexing for like 15 minutes. I don't know what was going on. I think I smoked some weed. It was just like I just got lost in the mirror and like forgot that I was in
feeling yourself, dude.
That was one of the more embarrassing moments that I've had. It's just like my manager and owner just watching a video of me be like a complete piece of shit.
If you guys could send us that, us that tape,
I'd love those tapes. I want to see those
Instagram,
tapes.
Yeah, we'll clip that in. So, Emily.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful, wonderful guest.
Emily.
Would you like to go first or second for topic roulette?
I'll go first.
Okay. For those of you at home who don't know what topic roulette is, we've both Mike and I and our guest have come prepared with a topic about the service industry. We don't know what each other's topics are, and we discuss for about 8 minutes. So, Emily, what's your topic?
Yeah. So we actually already kind of touched on it a little bit, and it's a little, like we mentioned it a little bit in the last time we spoke, but this is actually a little bit more targeted. So I wanted to talk about tipping, but specifically the idea that people who make tips can earn a reduced hourly wage. It's always sat with me wrong because, I remember you could work an 8-hour, 10-hour shift and you could leave with $20 in your pocket. And it's like, that's just such a hard way to live, you know?
I'm not sure what the solution is. I haven't thought that far on it, but obviously if there's like something as abstract as tipping, which you can leave with $10, you could leave with $200. How could your hourly be based on something that has that much variation to it? You know what I mean? Like that right off the bat is just gross. You know what I mean? Like very clearly fucked up and not the right way to do it.
The bottom line is the whole system is kind of fucked because, like Mike said, it rests on a foundation that was basically meant to exploit these workers and not have business owners have to pay their employees.
Right.
And everything that's come since then, it has all been kind of jumbled and if you're in my position, as I've said on this podcast before, then you're going to reap the benefits of a system like this because I can make a shitload of money where I happen to work from my tips. And now that I'm getting paid a little bit for my hourly as well, that's a nice little icing on the cake. But there's more people in the industry are suffering from this type of stuff than are, reaping the rewards. There's been many a day that I left restaurants that I was waiting tables at where I walked away with $30 in my pocket and didn't know how I was going to eat or how I was going to pay my rent. Luckily, my tenant at the time or my landlord was taking my $10 paychecks. But yeah, it's a weird system, and I'm not sure what the right answer is.
Again, it doesn't sound like there's a good answer, but there's good conversation around it, and who knows what the future will look like. But I just, my heart goes out for all those 22-year-olds in New York, like working really shitty restaurant jobs and getting stiffed by people who are just walking out on bills and stuff, and just stick with it and stick with your friends and create a Vortex and have fun and do the best you can,
Yeah.
So here's another aspect is think about the times that you have bartenders served and you're waiting on other industry people and you're like, they're going to make me my money tonight because they're going to leave me, 40%, 50%. So it becomes like a self-insulating, like a community that takes care of itself, and like you said, like a lot of people don't even know, but like everyone in the industry knows. So like, you're like, yeah, I made a great ton of money last night because a bunch of people from the other bar came over after their shift and then they tipped me a shit ton of money. And whenever I go out to eat with my friends who used to work in the service industry, like we could be served, an old shoe on a platter and we'd be like, oh my God, thank you so much. Here's 50%. I love you so much. You're the best,
Yeah.
Like, because we just know. And again, like it just hasn't really taken a hold in this way that I think, it's like, it's the kindness of others thing, which helps, but it really shouldn't be the kindness of others that like funds your livelihood because you're working a job. You're working a job.
One other thought about that self-sustained economy of people working in the service industry who all tip each other out. There is no worse type of person to me on the planet than a service industry employee who tips shittily when they go out. That you are the
they exist. How could you be that person?
There's something broken inside of them.
Yeah.
God, there was this woman, shout out Aldersea. There's no way she listens to this. But I used to work with her at the Comedy Cellar, and she at the time she's sober now for 5 or 6 years.
Congrats.
Shout out sobriety, Aldersea. But she would get blackout drunk, like fucking Cookie Monster eye blackout drunk, and like tip bartenders like $100 for 2 drinks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, and we'd be like, Aldersea, that's very generous of you, but do you really want to give your entire night? And she's like, no. They deserve it. We're off work. We work at the Comedy Cellar. I'll be fine. And then the next day, inevitably, we all be at work. She's like, what the fuck? Like just looking through her apron from the night before, like, what the fuck happened to all my money? And we're like, Aldersea, really? Like, do you really need to ask at this point? And she'd be like, oh, did I do it again? We're like, yeah, you're just a kind, beautiful person. Like, don't be mad at yourself.
Protect at all costs.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, guys, we're gonna move on to our topic. And it's a pretty simple one. It's very open-ended. Shitty coworkers. How do we feel? Do you remember specific examples? What do you do when you have a really shitty coworker? And if you guys have examples outside of the service industry, that's okay too. But the reason that I thought of this is because one of my friends just recently was telling me about how there's a new coworker at her bar, and so she apparently like blows up the group chat that includes the manager, shitting on her and other people and saying like, this person didn't do what they were supposed to do with their closing. Already a red flag. But then on top of that, this person is getting blackout drunk on their own shifts and like not even leaving. You have to put like all the money away in a safe at the end of the day. She like leaves the safe open, leaves the bar unlocked. And it's like, you can't do both. And there are people like that. I've worked with people like that who don't give a fuck about throwing you under the bus and then also are really bad at their jobs. And that shit is mind-numbing to me. So what do you guys think?
That's just like clear deflection.
Yeah.
Right? Like just ratting other people out when you're clearly like fucking up or nervous that you're fucking, maybe the blackouts, getting fucked up at work. She's like, wait a second, who knows what the fuck happened last night? Let me quickly hop on this group chat and fucking rat someone else out, on like side work. Like that shit, that's garbage.
Like you have to actively be a not good coworker in a restaurant because the nature of it is to take care of each other and to like have each other's back. And because of the way that restaurants are set up, you being a narc, that's the worst thing you could be in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we're trying to be out here and survive, you know, we're eating dirty food off of other people's plates. We're doing stuff. We're putting bread rolls in our pockets for later. You know, we're taking a roll of toilet paper home. Like, don't narc us out, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's for the shitty micromanaging managers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the micromanager podcast.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, I think I was trying to think of like if I had like a very specific account of a shitty coworker. And I would say like most of the time it would be like you'd show up for work and you'd be like, fuck, I'm working with so-and-so. Like they just kind of suck. And I think a lot of that, unfortunately, was just like, they just didn't have the greatest personality. I don't know, you know, like they just weren't that engaging. Maybe they just like, I don't know, who knows, but they just didn't vibe or something. And they usually never lasted long. Like the shitty ones kind of always seem to fall off, but you would just be like, oh, this is going to be boring or whatever. But the worst is definitely like a shitty manager, like that really, because they're the ones who like, you know, can make or break your day in terms of like, if you make money, if you enjoy yourself, if it's going to be a long shift, a short shift, you know, so oof.
Yeah. It's just, there's a whole totem pole of like what that means to be a bad coworker, you know, like the lightest of it, like you mentioned, Emily, is when they're just not that fun to be around, which sucks. And in the service industry, you hope for more because that's sort of your fucking saving grace. Like that this is the thing that I don't understand about these people. Nobody fucking told me this. I doubt anybody told either of the two of you this. You just instinctively know when you're working in a bar or restaurant, we're in this together, right? It's us against the motherfucking world. Like we were talking about tipping. You're not going to get tipped well half the time. Your manager is going to put their foot up your ass because they're having a bad day. The customers are going to be dickheads. Everything is against you except for your fucking team. And even if you're not working the same, the same night, even if you never have the same nights or the same shifts, you're still a part of the same team. And we're still a part of the same family. And we have each other's backs. And we do the side work as best we can to leave it better for the person, not because the manager wants it, not because the owner wants it, but because I'm not trying to fuck over that next person who has to come in here and work this job. And if there's an issue, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before, if there's an issue, I'm going to talk to you, Emily. I love you, girl, but dude, you got to fucking clean the sink before you leave. Like it's a mess in the mornings. I'll tell you that to your face and trust that you're going to make a difference. Mike, I'm just trying to think of like the funniest possible thing. You came in the sink.
No, coming on the wall.
Coming in this motherfucking sink, dude. No, but you know, and we police one another, we respect one another, and you know, that makes the load that much lighter. So when people are throwing people under the bus and then on the other end, you know, not doing their part, it goes back to like a bartender who doesn't tip. It's like you're here, you're experiencing what we're all experiencing. There's no excuse for you to be that selfish. And we see it a lot. I see it a lot. I'm very fortunate at the moment to have a really good staff around me. By now the episode is out with 3 girls who work at the bar. They're all fun. They're all great. They all are cut from the right cloth, but that's rare. And I don't know why it has to be like that.
On the lighter end of shitty coworkers, if you're a server or bartender who's working with a bartender, I guess this would mostly be for servers who don't have control of the liquor. If you're doing well enough that you have a bartender who's serving you drinks on the clock, on the sly, have the wherewithal to keep your shit together.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm just gonna say this.
Big deal.
Because I had I worked at the Comedy Cellar for many years, and I had my fair share of incidents where I had to talk to management. I was always able to, like I said, I worked there 12 years, so obviously I wasn't being fired. But the one time I genuinely got in trouble, there was a kitchen guy, Gilberto, very sweet man, I loved him a lot. We talk about music. He loved Slayer and Metallica. We talk about them, and I'd pour him a little Jack and Cokes on the side. That boy came in one day and he was drunk already, and I didn't notice it. And I poured him like a good one. And he came out of the kitchen like 20 minutes later, right? Fucking googly eyed, and he's got a rag over his hand, right? And it seems to be covered in blood, right? And this is going on. He's sitting at a table and he looks kind of pale, and everyone's like, Gilberto, we need to see this cut on your hand. We need to see if we need to take you to the hospital. Yada, yada. He's talking gibberish. Like his English is gotten worse. And he finally moves the rag and there's no cut. He dipped his hand in he must have dipped the rag in like beet juice or something. I don't know how he made it look like blood. And he was trying to get himself, he wanted to leave and take himself to the hospital, quote unquote, because he got so fucked up and couldn't work. So he literally faked a hand injury. Like he sliced the shit out of himself to get out of work. Yada, yada, yada. How did he get so fucking drunk at work? Who's bartending? Mike, what's up? Come in early tomorrow. We need to talk to you. So yeah, that's my PSA.
Did you lose your
shit
job?
Together? No, I didn't lose my job. It was I was early on. I was like the head bartender, so it would have been a disaster if they got rid of me at that point. But you know, I played it down. I was like, this was the first time I've ever done it. I can't believe it.
That is a great point though. I've had it.
Hold your shit down, man. Hold your shit down.
A couple times. We've talked about this before. You need a little bit of lubrication to get in to do your best job. Most people do, not everybody does. I certainly do. Need to be a little lubed up. But then there's that window between lubed up enough to fit the stick in your ass, and then
Laurent, we're not talking about your other job. Okay,
no.
We're talking about bartending.
This is that's for my other podcast.
Let's get into it though. Come on.
You know, but not so much that you're not capable of doing your job. I told a story on the podcast a long time ago about this girl who got so drunk. We were friends with her. We went to go check her out at her job before we had to go to a show that was across the street. She was so drunk that she couldn't speak. She's behind the bar, drooling on herself, and people are saying, "Can I have a Budweiser?" And she just kind of slowly.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
And it's like, that's insanity. But there, you know, you don't have to be that drunk to be outside the lines of being a responsible employee. And for a lot of people, that's a very difficult thing to ask. Start drinking, have fun, be the center of attention. Everybody wants you to have a drink. We're getting money, but hey, don't drink too much. It's a weird thing. And it takes a long time to figure out that balance. And hopefully you figure that out before losing your job.
Laurent, yes, I just want to acknowledge, I just want to quickly acknowledge, just for the listeners, and it'll lead into something that that Emily just brought up. But can I just drop the fact that I almost quit the podcast?
Sure. Let them know.
So I just want to throw this out there, y'all, that a few weeks ago I was having a moment. I think it's there's a lot of I have a lot of emotions going on right now, just with the writer's strike and personal projects and yada yada yada. And I just had a feeling one day, and the way I deal with feelings is I talk about them as soon as I can. But I think this one I jumped the gun on, and Laurent and I have already talked about it. But I called Laurent and I said, "Hey man, I'm just overwhelmed with different things going on in my life. I'm not sure if the podcast is right for me at the moment." You know, in so many words.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, Laurent, over the next week and a half, at least 3 people who I did not know greeted me or introduced themselves to me by shaking my hand and saying, "By the way, I love the podcast."
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And I was like literally 3 people I did not know. One was a bartender at where did Alex used to work?
Oh yeah,
Spritzen House.
Spritzen House.
Yeah, we went to Spritzen House. I was talking to this bartender the whole time, and we're paying our check at the end, and shake his hand. I was like, "Nice to meet you, man." He goes, "Also, by the way, huge fan of the podcast. Love the last episode." Like, he was like an up-to-date fan.
Very cool.
Another girl was hanging out with our sort of circle of friends over there, but she was like, oh my God, from under the apron. I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know? So I'd be lying if I said all those interactions that I had in that week afterwards, before I called you to say, Laurent, I've made a huge mistake. I'd be lying if I said those didn't help with that, where I was like, you know, I was just sort of like, Mike, this shit is fun. Stay in the game. You got this. Yeah. This is a great time. But yeah.
Well, so happy to have you back and to keep this thing going, because I think you're a great part of it. I didn't know it was because you're just a fame whore. I didn't realize it was because you're like, oh, all these fucking people know who I am. Well, yes, I'll stick around now.
You got that taste of it, you know?
Dude, I swear, after the third one, I was like, did Laurent plant these people?
No.
Did he set this up?
No, I didn't. But I'm really happy. And you know, I get it, man. I understand where you were coming from, but I'm very happy to have you. And you know, in regards to people starting to know who we are and having a little bit of you know, that type of stuff happening, like, love it. Shout out to all you guys out there. Love you. We're not going fucking anywhere. I love doing this. I believe in this thing. I know Mike does too. So we're here. We're gonna keep going until ironically I don't have to bartend anymore. So anyway, speaking of all of the vast usefulness of Mike on the podcast.
Ooh.
Where are we at? What are we doing?
Let's do hey everyone, it's welcome to Chris Marcella's Fast 5. Today it might even be a Fast 6.
Hey.
Just because, oh yeah, and let me just throw this out there really quick. I know that for any of the avid listeners out there, Mike's Hot Topic, in case you were a fan of Mike's Hot Topic, I know it's not around. Laurent and I had talked and we decided it wasn't flowing necessarily well enough yet. But that being said, I have to give a retroactive shout out to my wife, Laura Belmont. Check her out on Instagram, Laura Belmont Art. She helped me out with so many of my Mike's Hot Topics.
Oh. And
also with my Fast 5 questions. Like sometimes like I'll be like trying to get it together and I'm overthinking it, you know, like I'm trying to like make them funny, or I'm trying to make them something. And Laura, she'd always help me out with the hot topic, give me a really, like, most of those topics were her idea. I did the research and everything, but she was the one who hit me with the topic. So that's a retroactive shout out. She likes to give me shit that I didn't shout her out enough for it. And she's right. She's 100% right. But I will say that there's
always a woman behind the overalls, you know?
It's true. It's true, man. It's true. She did watch these last. But I will say that today's Chris Marcella's Fast 5 is 100% from Laura Belmont. We're going to do a new edition. It's Laura Belmont's Fast 6.
Okay. Ooh.
All right. So for Emily or anyone out there who doesn't know, this is the Fast 5. It is 5 rapid fire questions. Emily's going to take no time. She's just going to send her answer right back. First thing that comes off the top of her head.
Chris Marcella's Fast 5 or 10.
All right, Emily, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, number 1. Red or black licorice?
Red.
Number 2. Have you ever been bird watching?
No. Am I supposed to? I feel like that's like coming. It's on the horizon, but you know.
I thought you meant that you thought that watching birds was like having an orgasm.
Oh no. No, like the desire. The
I
desire
feel like it's
to
coming.
I mean, sometimes I look out my window right now and I'm like, oh, look at that red one. She's cute. But I don't have an interest of knowing what her name is yet.
All
but
you need
for my other podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Emily, all you need is a good friend over the age of 47 to get you a book, and then you're locked in.
I have a feeling. Yep.
Yeah. By 47, I mean 38, and I'm going to give you that book. Would you rather go to a... Hold on. I'm going to skip that one. Number 3. How do you do with rodents?
Oh, I'm fantastic at killing rodents.
Oh, hell yeah. Wow,
yes.
you just took me through the fucking gamut on that one. I thought, okay, go on.
Is that what you meant? Like murdering them?
No, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
So I have a quick little story for that if you want to hear it.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
One time in my parents' house, during COVID times, we had a rat in the house, somehow got in and was eating like the food that was, in the fruit bowl and stuff like that. And I was the only one living there at the time. Called my parents who are in Spain. And I'm like, you guys, we have a rat. I don't know what to do. My dad goes, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And
From
apparently
Spain.
So he apparently called a pest control person called Daddy's Pest Control, right? My dad calls and the guy goes, hi, Daddy's Pest Control. My dad goes, from Spain, probably drunk off of nice Spanish wine, goes, is this Daddy? And the guy just pauses, doesn't say anything. And he goes, we have a rat. And he goes, tell me where it is. Guy comes over. He is exactly what you think if he's Daddy's Pest Control. I mean, he's big. He's got a lot of tattoos. He's screaming instead of talking. And he put a bunch of rat traps down and then went away on vacation. And we caught a rat in the rat trap. And I called and I said, there's a rat in the rat trap. Huge one. I mean, huge. Like
alive?
Probably like 3 pounds. No, it was dead.
Okay.
And he goes, just put a bucket on top. And when I get back in a week, I'll come get it. And I was like, no. And he goes, well, I guess you could dispose of it. Yeah. So I did. I took it out of the trap and I disposed of that rat. And to this day, you have rat problems, you call Rat Mommy because I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Mommy rata.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So that's my story.
I love it. All right. I think that was number 3. Number 4. This actually kind of goes with number 3. Are you generally afraid of basements?
No.
Okay. I should have asked that one before the rats. And then I think I'm just going to close. I take back the Fast 6. I think I'm just going to go with 5 today. If you could get a classic bumper sticker that we've all seen throughout the years, driving about, which one would you put on your car?
Dolly for president.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love it.
Let's go.
I feel like it's like the most politically neutral, not neutral thing you could do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It means that you don't like either, but you also are kind of like, give me a hug. That's like what it means. Yeah. Yeah.
And you love big boobs.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
I just saw this really great short clip of Dolly Parton where she's on like a talk show and someone's like, Dolly, what's one sentence you have for all the men in the world? And she said, if you just wait till I turn around, I also have a great ass.
Oh, I love
fucking
that.
Brilliant.
Wow, fantastic.
She's
Go
Dolly.
Dolly.
She
is.
Truly.
Everything about her. She's just a fucking G.
She cracked the code, man. Whatever it is, she did it.
Okay, guys, that was wonderful. Emily, I love you. I'm so glad.
I love you too, babe.
What did we learn today? If you need somebody to bail you out of getting fired, call 1-800-JIMMY. He's costs about $200 an hour. I'll put you in touch, but he won't respond to my text message. If you need to get fucked in the ass, use some lube, listen to my other podcast. Yes. And Mike,
his other podcast is called Daddy's Pest Control. By the
way. Rat Daddy Pod. And Mike loves fame. So
Mike's a big old fame whore, apparently.
A big old fame whore.
I'd like to just say that I'm a whore in general. Okay. So really that that filters down as it does,
So we're gonna move on to the very end of the show where we have our guest tell a joke or a quote. Em, what do you got for us?
All right, I got a quote for you guys. All right. I believe that if life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade. And try to find someone whose life has given them vodka and have a party. Danny DeVito. My favorite.
Hell yeah.
Danny DeVito was a big topic on the last one. I love it. On an episode that's going to come out soon. So Danny DeVito, keeping him alive.
Dude, Emily, life gives you vodka.
Yes. I love you. Mike, I love you. Everybody out there, we love you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for sharing that post about that robber. Thank you for everything. And we will see you guys next time. Love you.
Love you.
Thank you guys. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.